The galactic threat emerges. The vast expanse of space had long been home to the Zephyrian Alliance, a coalition of peaceful alien races that had enjoyed centuries of prosperity and technological advancement. Their worlds spanned dozens of star systems, each member species contributing its unique talents to create a harmonious galactic society. The Zephyrians prided themselves on their commitment to diplomacy, scientific pursuits, and cultural exchange. Among the Alliance's most prominent members were the Aetheri, beings of pure energy who served as the spiritual guides of the coalition. The Quarren, master architects and engineers, had built wonders across the stars. The empathic Novae acted as mediators and peacekeepers. Together, they had created a utopia that seemed unshakable. But peace, as they would soon learn, was a fragile thing. It began with whispers from the outer rim of Alliance space, entire colonies going dark, distress signals abruptly silenced. At first, the Zephyrian Council dismissed these reports as mere malfunctions or pirate activity. Their complacency would prove to be their gravest mistake. On the day that would forever change the course of galactic history, the Void Dominion revealed itself. A massive armada of black ships, bristling with weapons beyond anything the Alliance had ever encountered, emerged from the depths of uncharted space. Their hulls seemed to devour light itself, a stark contrast to the gleaming vessels of the Zephyrians. The Void Dominion's message was simple and chilling: submit or be annihilated. Panic spread through the Alliance faster than any plague. The Aetheri's luminescence dimmed with fear. Quarren megastructures, once symbols of progress, now felt like targets painted across the stars. The Novae empaths were overwhelmed by the wave of terror sweeping across billions of minds. As the Zephyrian Council debated endlessly on how to respond, a new voice emerged from an unexpected quarter. Humanity, the newest and least advanced members of the Alliance, demanded action. Earth had only joined the galactic community a mere decade ago, their faster-than-light technology still in its infancy. Many older races viewed humans as impulsive children, barely out of their cradle world. But in this moment of crisis, it was the humans who refused to cower. Ambassador Sarah Chen stood before the Zephyrian Council, her eyes blazing with determination. Esteemed members of the Alliance, she began, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. We cannot allow fear to paralyze us. The Void Dominion threatens not just our worlds, but our very way of life. Humanity has faced extinction-level threats before, and we have always found a way to survive. We offer our full support in mounting a defense against this aggression. The council chamber erupted in a cacophony of alien voices. Many dismissed the humans' words as naive bravado. What could these newcomers possibly contribute against such an overwhelming force? Horak, the Quarren representative, chittered nervously. Ambassador Chen, while we appreciate your species' enthusiasm, surely you realize the futility of resistance. The Void Dominion's technology far surpasses our own. Perhaps if we negotiate, we can preserve some measure of autonomy. Sarah's expression hardened. With all due respect, Counselor, history has shown that appeasement only emboldens tyrants. We must stand united and fight, or everything the Alliance has built will be lost. As the debate raged on, reports flooded in of Void Dominion forces pushing deeper into Alliance territory. Entire systems fell silent, their inhabitants' fates unknown. The Zephyrian military, long accustomed to peacekeeping missions, found itself woefully unprepared for full-scale war. In a bold move that shocked many, the human government unilaterally deployed its fledgling space fleet to defend the Alliance's outer colonies. These ships, a cobbled-together mix of retrofitted civilian vessels and hastily constructed warships, were vastly outgunned by the Void Dominion. But what they lacked in technology, they made up for in sheer audacity and ingenuity. The first major engagement occurred in the Lyra system, home to a vital Quarren shipyard. As Void Dominion dreadnoughts approached, a small squadron of human vessels moved to intercept. Captain Maya Rodriguez, commanding the UES Defiant, knew the odds were stacked against them. But she also knew that sometimes the most powerful weapon was unpredictability. All hands, this is the captain. Maya's voice rang through the ship's comm system. We're outnumbered and outgunned, but not outsmarted. Remember your training. Trust your instincts, and let's show these void bastards what humanity is made of. The galactic threat emerges. The vast expanse of space had long been home to the Zephyrian Alliance, a coalition of peaceful alien races that had enjoyed centuries of prosperity and technological advancement. Their worlds spanned dozens of star systems, each member species contributing its unique talents to create a harmonious galactic society. The Zephyrians prided themselves on their commitment to diplomacy, scientific pursuits, and cultural exchange. Among the Alliance's most prominent members were the Aetheri, beings of pure energy who served as the spiritual guides of the coalition. The Quarren, master architects and engineers, had built wonders across the stars. The empathic Novelli acted as mediators and peacekeepers. Together, they had created a utopia that seemed unshakable. But peace, as they would soon learn, was a fragile thing. It began with whispers from the outer rim of Alliance space, entire colonies going dark, distress signals abruptly silenced. At first, the Zephyrian Council dismissed these reports as mere malfunctions or pirate activity. Their complacency would prove to be their gravest mistake. On the day that would forever change the course of galactic history, the Void Dominion revealed itself. A massive armada of black ships, bristling with weapons beyond anything the Alliance had ever encountered, emerged from the depths of uncharted space. Their hulls seemed to devour light itself, a stark contrast to the gleaming vessels of the Zephyrians. The Void Dominion's message was simple and chilling. Submit or be annihilated. Panic spread through the Alliance faster than any plague. The Aetheri's luminescence dimmed with fear. Quarren megastructures, once symbols of progress, now felt like targets painted across the stars. The Novelli empaths were overwhelmed by the wave of terror sweeping across billions of minds. As the Zephyrian Council debated endlessly on how to respond, a new voice emerged from an unexpected quarter. Humanity, the newest and least advanced members of the Alliance, demanded action. Earth had only joined the galactic community a mere decade ago, their faster-than-light technology still in its infancy. Many older races viewed humans as impulsive children, barely out of their cradle world. But in this moment of crisis, it was the humans who refused to cower. Ambassador Sarah Chen stood before the Zephyrian Council, her eyes blazing with determination. Esteemed members of the Alliance, she began, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. We cannot allow fear to paralyze us. The Void Dominion threatens not just our worlds, but our very way of life. Humanity has faced extinction-level threats before, and we have always found a way to survive. We offer our full support in mounting a defense against this aggression. The council chamber erupted in a cacophony of alien voices. Many dismissed the humans' words as naive bravado. What could these newcomers possibly contribute against such an overwhelming force? Horax, the Quarren representative, chittered nervously. Ambassador Chen, while we appreciate your species' enthusiasm, surely you realize the futility of resistance. The Void Dominion's technology far surpasses our own. Perhaps if we negotiate, we can preserve some measure of autonomy. Sarah's expression hardened. With all due respect, Counselor, history has shown that appeasement only emboldens tyrants. We must stand united and fight, or everything the Alliance has built will be lost. As the debate raged on, reports flooded in of Void Dominion forces pushing deeper into Alliance territory. Entire systems fell silent, their inhabitants' fates unknown. The Zephyrian military, long accustomed to peacekeeping missions, found itself woefully unprepared for full-scale war. In a bold move that shocked many, the human government unilaterally deployed its fledgling space fleet to defend the Alliance's outer colonies. These ships, a cobbled-together mix of retrofitted civilian vessels and hastily constructed warships, were vastly outgunned by the Void Dominion. But what they lacked in technology, they made up for in sheer audacity and ingenuity. The first major engagement occurred in the Lyra system, home to a vital Quarren shipyard. As Void Dominion dreadnoughts approached, a small squadron of human vessels moved to intercept. Captain Maya Rodriguez, commanding the UES Defiant, knew the odds were stacked against them, but she also knew that sometimes the most powerful weapon was unpredictability. All hands, this is the captain. Maya's voice rang through the ship's comm system. We're outnumbered and outgunned, but not outsmarted. Remember your training, trust your instincts, and let's show these void bastards what humanity is made of. The battle that ensued would become legendary. Human ships darted between the massive void vessels, using the debris of destroyed Quarren structures as cover. They executed maneuvers that seasoned Alliance pilots had deemed impossible, pushing their ships and themselves to the absolute limit. In a daring gambit, Maya ordered her crew to overload the Defiant's fusion core, creating a localized electromagnetic pulse that temporarily disabled the nearest Void Dominion ship. In that moment of vulnerability, the humans struck, their weapons finding weaknesses in the enemy's seemingly impenetrable armor. For the first time since the invasion began, a Void Dominion vessel fell. The cost was high. Half of the human squadron was destroyed, and the Defiant itself was barely operational by the battle's end. But they had achieved the impossible. They had bloodied the nose of an enemy that had seemed invincible. As news of the victory spread, it sparked a glimmer of hope throughout the Alliance. The Aethery's glow brightened ever so slightly. Quarren engineers pored over battle footage, analyzing human tactics for insights. Even the skeptical members of the Zephyrian Council were forced to reassess their stance on resistance. But the Void Dominion was far from defeated. If anything, this setback only served to fuel their rage. Their next assault would be even more brutal, designed to crush not just the Alliance's military capabilities, but their very spirit. As the Alliance scrambled to bolster its defenses, humanity found itself thrust into a leadership role it had never anticipated. The species that many had dismissed as primitive now stood as the vanguard against galactic annihilation. Sarah Chen, watching recordings of the Lyra battle in her quarters, felt the weight of responsibility settling heavily on her shoulders. She knew that the road ahead would be fraught with challenges, sacrifices, and difficult decisions. But as she looked out at the stars, each one representing countless lives hanging in the balance, she steeled her resolve. Humanity had always thrived when pushed to its limits. Now, with the fate of the entire galaxy at stake, they would need to dig deeper than ever before. The Void Dominion had awoken a sleeping giant, and Sarah swore that they would soon regret their aggression. As reports of more Void Dominion fleets massing on the borders of Alliance space came in, Sarah began drafting plans for a unified defense strategy. She knew that technology alone wouldn't be enough to win this war. It would take courage, innovation, and a willingness to risk everything for the greater good. Qualities that, it seemed, only humanity truly possessed in abundance. The stage was set for a conflict that would reshape the galaxy, and at its heart stood the most unlikely of heroes. A young species, taking its first steps among the stars, now thrust into a battle for the very survival of civilization itself. The galactic threat had emerged, but so too had humanity's chance to prove its worth to the cosmos. Humanity's bold stand. In the weeks following the Battle of Lyra, a palpable shift occurred throughout the Zephyrian Alliance. The initial paralyzing fear gave way to a cautious optimism, fueled by humanity's unexpected victory. However, this newfound hope was tempered by the harsh reality of the situation. The Void Dominion's forces still vastly outnumbered and outgunned the Alliance fleet. Ambassador Sarah Chen found herself at the center of a whirlwind of activity. The human embassy on Zephyria Prime, once a quiet outpost, now buzzed with a constant stream of alien dignitaries seeking audiences and strategic advice. Sarah's days blurred into an endless series of meetings, tactical briefings, and negotiations. One particularly tense session with the Zephyrian High Council stood out. Sarah stood before the assembled representatives, her voice firm as she laid out humanity's proposal for a unified defense strategy. "The key to our survival lies in asymmetrical warfare," Sarah explained, gesturing to a holographic display of Alliance space. "We can't match the Void Dominion ship for ship, but we can use our diversity to our advantage. Each of our species has unique strengths. It's time we leverage them collectively." The plan was audacious. It called for the Quarren to rapidly retrofit civilian ships with experimental weapon systems. The energy-based Ethery would serve as living shields, their natural abilities amplified to create protective barriers around key worlds. The empathic Novali would be tasked with developing early warning systems, using their telepathic abilities to detect Void Dominion incursions before they materialized. And humanity. They would take the fight directly to the enemy. "Our ships may be less advanced," Sarah continued, "but our tactics are unpredictable. We'll lead strike teams to disrupt Void Dominion supply lines and gather critical intelligence. Every moment we keep them off balance is a moment we can use to strengthen our position." The council chamber erupted into chaos. Many representatives balked at the idea of turning their peaceful societies towards war production. The Novali delegation was particularly vocal in their opposition. "You ask us to weaponize our most sacred gift." Elara, the chief Novali empath, said, her voice trembling with emotion. "Our abilities are meant for healing, for unity, not for violence." Sarah's expression softened, but her resolve remained unshaken. "I understand your hesitation, Elara, but consider this. By using your gifts to protect innocent lives, aren't you staying true to your principles? Sometimes the path to peace requires us to stand against those who would destroy it." The debate raged for hours, but gradually the council began to see the wisdom in Sarah's words. The grim alternative, surrender to the Void Dominion, was simply unthinkable. With reluctance, the Alliance adopted humanity's strategy. As preparations began in earnest, Sarah found an unexpected ally in Zaxelcha, a young Quarren engineer. Unlike many of his elders, Zaxelcha embraced the challenge of adapting their technology for warfare. "Your species' resourcefulness is truly remarkable," Zaxelcha chittered excitedly as he showed Sarah the latest modifications to a Quarren cruiser. "We've integrated some of your missile concepts with our energy weapons. The results are explosive, to say the least." Sarah couldn't help but smile at the Quarren's enthusiasm. It was a reminder that even in the darkest times, the spirit of scientific curiosity could shine through. But not everyone was so easily convinced. A faction of hardline pacifists, led by the venerable Ethery philosopher Luminar, began to actively sabotage the war effort. They saw any form of violent resistance as a betrayal of the Alliance's core values. Matters came to a head when a group of Luminar's followers attempted to destroy a vital shipyard. It was only through the quick thinking of Captain Maya Rodriguez and her crew that the facility was saved. The incident drove home the point that the Alliance faced threats from within as well as without. Sarah addressed the populace in a passionate broadcast, her words translated into dozens of alien languages. "I know that many of you fear what this conflict will do to our souls. But I ask you this, what is the cost of inaction? The Void Dominion does not seek coexistence. They seek domination. Every world that falls, every life snuffed out, is a tragedy we could have prevented. We fight not because we love war, but because we love peace enough to defend it." Her words struck a chord across the Alliance. Gradually, even the most reluctant species began to contribute to the war effort. The Novali, true to their pacifist nature, focused on evacuation and refugee support. The Ethery poured their energies into developing new defensive technologies. And the Quarren surprised everyone with their newfound martial zeal. As these preparations unfolded, the Void Dominion did not remain idle. Their next assault targeted the Novali homeworld of Embeth Prime, a strike clearly intended to cripple the Alliance's early warning capabilities. The battle that ensued would test the mettle of the fledgling human-led coalition. A ragtag fleet of newly retrofitted Corin ships, aetheri energy projectors, and human vessels faced off against a Void Dominion armada that darkened the skies of Empeth Prime. Captain Rodriguez, now commanding the flagship UES Intrepid, led the charge. "Remember, Lyra," she called out as her ship dove into the fray. "We've bloodied them once. We'll do it again." The human ships executed maneuvers that defied conventional physics, their crews pushing both themselves and their vessels to the absolute limit. Corin energy lances sliced through Void Dominion shields, while ethery barriers shimmered and held against barrages that would have vaporized normal defenses. But the true turning point came from an unexpected source. A group of Novali empaths, led by Elara herself, had volunteered to join the human ships. As the battle raged, they reached out with their minds, pushing through the psychic static that had always shrouded the Void Dominion forces. For the first time, the Alliance glimpsed the true nature of their enemy. The Void Dominion ships were crewed not by individual beings, but by a hive mind. A singular consciousness spread across countless drone bodies. This revelation sent shockwaves through the Allied fleet. "Target their command ships." Sarah's voice crackled over the comms from her position in the war room on Zephyria Prime. "If we can disrupt their psychic link, we can throw their entire force into chaos." The battle shifted. Precision strikes guided by Novali insights began to shatter the Void Dominion's coordination. Ship after ship fell silent, their drone crews rendered inert without the guiding will of the hive mind. As the last Void Dominion vessel retreated from Empeth Prime, a cheer went up across the Allied fleet. They had done it. They had repelled a major assault and protected a key world. The victory at Empeth Prime marked a turning point in the war. For the first time, the Alliance had a true strategic advantage, knowledge of the enemy's fundamental weakness. But exploiting that weakness would require pushing even further into Void Dominion territory, risking everything on a gambit that could either save the galaxy or doom it entirely. As the adrenaline of battle faded, Sarah Chen looked out at the starfield from her office on Zephyria Prime. The Alliance had proven it could stand against the Void Dominion, but at what cost? How much of their peaceful nature would have to be sacrificed in the name of survival? These questions weighed heavily on her mind as she began drafting plans for the next phase of the war. One thing was certain. Humanity's bold stand had changed the course of galactic history. Whether that change would lead to salvation or ruin remained to be seen. The battle for the future of the Alliance, and perhaps all sentient life, had only just begun. The battle for New Eden. The victory at Empeth Prime had bought the Zephyrian Alliance precious time, but the war was far from over. As the Void Dominion regrouped, licking its wounds and adapting its strategies, the Alliance scrambled to press its advantage. The revelation of the enemy's hive mind nature had opened up new avenues for attack, but it had also made the Void Dominion more desperate and unpredictable. In the months that followed, a tenuous stalemate emerged. The Alliance, bolstered by human ingenuity and the newfound martial resolve of its member species, managed to halt the Void Dominion's advance. But they lacked the strength to push the invaders back entirely. It was a precarious balance, one that couldn't last indefinitely. The tipping point came with the discovery of New Eden. Deep in a previously unexplored sector of space, a joint human-Corin expedition stumbled upon a verdant world teeming with life. Initial scans revealed that New Eden's biosphere contained compounds that could revolutionize Alliance medicine and technology. More crucially, these same compounds seemed to have a disruptive effect on the Void Dominion's psychic network. News of the discovery spread like wildfire through Alliance channels. New Eden represented hope, a potential game-changer in a war that had already cost millions of lives. But that hope was tempered by a chilling realization. The Void Dominion was also aware of New Eden's significance. The stage was set for a battle that would determine the course of the war. Ambassador Sarah Chen stood before the Alliance War Council, her face grim as she laid out the situation. "We have to assume the Void Dominion will throw everything they have at New Eden," she said, her voice steady despite the weight of responsibility. This is our chance to deal them a crippling blow, but it's also a massive risk. If we commit our forces and fail, we leave our core worlds vulnerable. The council chamber buzzed with tense discussion. Thorax, the Koran representative, clicked his mandibles nervously. The strategic value of New Eden cannot be overstated. But can we truly hold it against the full might of the Void Dominion? It was Alara, the Novali empath, who spoke up in support of Sarah's implicit proposal. "We've come too far to back down now," she said, her usually soft voice filled with determination. "New Eden isn't just a tactical asset. It's a symbol. If we can defend it, we prove to ourselves and to the enemy that the Alliance will not be broken." The decision was made. The Alliance would make its stand at New Eden. Preparations began immediately. Every available ship was recalled and retrofitted for the coming battle. The Koran worked tirelessly, pushing the boundaries of their engineering skills to upgrade the Alliance fleet. Ethery energy weavers infused the hulls of warships with protective fields that shimmered like gossamer in starlight. Humanity's contribution came in the form of an audacious plan devised by Admiral Elena Vasquez, a decorated veteran of Earth's pre-contact wars. "We can't match them ship for ship," she explained during a strategy briefing. "So we changed the rules of engagement. We'll use New Eden itself as a weapon." The plan called for a network of gravity wells and energy snares to be laid throughout the New Eden system, creating a labyrinthine battlefield that would negate much of the Void Dominion's numerical advantage. It was a plan that relied heavily on precise timing and coordination between diverse alien technologies, a plan that showcased the growing synergy within the Alliance. As the defensive grid around New Eden neared completion, long-range sensors detected a massive Void Dominion fleet entering the sector. The enemy had committed a force larger than anything seen since the initial invasion, an armada vast enough to blot out the stars. Admiral Vasquez's voice crackled over the Alliance-wide comm channel. "All ships, battle stations. This is the moment we've been preparing for. Remember, we're not just fighting for New Eden. We're fighting for every free world, for the right of all sentient beings to chart their own destiny. No matter what happens next, I'm proud to serve alongside each and every one of you. Now let's show these hive-minded bastards what real unity looks like." The battle began with a ferocious exchange of long-range fire. Void Dominion energy lances sliced through space, met by the combined firepower of the Alliance fleet. The carefully laid traps around New Eden began to take their toll, Void ships finding themselves snared or pulled off course by invisible forces. But the sheer numbers of the enemy were overwhelming. For every Void Dominion ship disabled, 2 more took its place. The Allied lines began to buckle under the relentless assault. It was in this moment of crisis that humanity's penchant for unconventional tactics shone through. Captain Maya Rodriguez, commanding a swift strike group, executed a daring maneuver. She led her ships on a suicide run straight through the heart of the Void Dominion formation, targeting what intelligence suggested were key psychic nodes. "All units, this is Fireball Actual." Maya's voice was calm despite the chaos surrounding her ship. "Prepare to initiate Operation Sunburst on my mark." As Maya's ships reached the epicenter of the Void Fleet, they triggered their secret weapon, an experimental device that amplified and broadcast the unique psychic resonance of New Eden's biosphere. The effect was instantaneous and devastating. Void Dominion ships closest to the broadcast point went dark, their hive-mind connections severed. The disruption rippled outward, creating a cascade of confusion through the enemy ranks. Alliance forces seized the opportunity, pressing their attack with renewed vigor. On the planet's surface, a different kind of battle rage. A Void Dominion landing force had managed to establish a beachhead, intent on seizing or destroying the source of New Eden's strategic compounds. Here, in close-quarters combat, the diverse strengths of the Alliance truly came to the fore. Human Marines fought alongside Koran shock troops, their tactics complementing each other perfectly. Ethery energy wielders provided cover and support, while Novali empaths coordinated the defense with unprecedented precision. The tide began to turn. In space, the Void Dominion fleet fell into disarray, no longer able to function as a cohesive unit. On the ground, the alien invaders found themselves outmaneuvered at every turn. As the battle entered its final stages, Sarah Chen watched from the command center on New Eden's largest moon. The holographic display before her showed the Void Dominion forces in full retreat, hounded by Alliance pursuers. "We did it," she breathed, scarcely able to believe it. "We actually did it." The battle for New Eden would go down in history as the turning point of the war. It was the moment when the Zephyrian Alliance, led by humanity's bold example, proved that they could stand against any threat. But as the adrenaline of victory faded, Sarah and the other leaders of the Alliance faced a new set of challenges. The cost of the battle had been enormous, with thousands of lives lost and much of New Eden's surface scarred by the fighting. More concerning were the reports coming in from across Alliance space. Worlds that had been stripped of defenses for the New Eden campaign now lay vulnerable to Void Dominion reprisals. And there were other, more subtle changes. The Alliance species had been forged into a true fighting force, but at what cost to their peaceful ideals? The Novelli, once staunch pacifists, now debated the ethics of offensive psychic warfare. Quarren engineers, who had once built wonders, now turned their intellects primarily towards instruments of destruction. As Sarah looked out at New Eden's verdant surface, marred by the scars of battle, she couldn't help but wonder, in defending their way of life against the Void Dominion, how much of that life had they already lost? The war was far from over. The Void Dominion had been bloodied, but not beaten. And the greatest challenges for the Alliance, and for humanity's place within it, still lay ahead, uncovering the enemy's weakness. In the aftermath of the battle for New Eden, a new phase of the war began. The Zephyrian Alliance, emboldened by their victory, pushed outward, reclaiming lost territories, and forcing the Void Dominion onto the defensive. But with each world liberated, a troubling pattern emerged. The Void Dominion was not simply retreating. They were scorching everything in their wake, leaving behind lifeless husks of once thriving planets. It was clear that a conventional victory would come at an unacceptable cost. The Alliance needed a way to end the war decisively, before more worlds fell victim to the Void Dominion's scorched earth tactics. The answer came from an unlikely source. Dr. Eiko Nakamura, a brilliant but eccentric xenobiologist, had been studying samples recovered from disabled Void Dominion ships. Her findings were nothing short of revolutionary. The Void Dominion isn't just a hive mind, she explained to a rapt audience of Alliance leaders. It's a singular entity spread across countless drone bodies, and like any organism, it has a central nervous system, a core from which all commands originate. Sarah Chen, who had been overseeing the briefing, leaned forward intently. "Are you saying we could end this war by taking out a single target?" Eiko nodded, her eyes gleaming with excitement. "Theoretically, yes, but finding that core won't be easy. It's likely hidden deep in Void Dominion space, protected by their most formidable defenses." The implications were staggering. A surgical strike could potentially end the war in one fell swoop, saving countless lives. But reaching the Void Dominion's core would require a mission of unprecedented danger and complexity. Admiral Vasquez, her face lined with the stress of countless battles, spoke up. "We can't commit our main forces to such an operation. The risk of leaving our worlds exposed is too great." It was Zach Solcha, the young Quarren engineer, who proposed a solution. "What about a small team? A group diverse enough to adapt to any situation, but small enough to slip through the Void Dominion's defenses." And so, Operation Shadowfall was born. A hand-picked team of Alliance operatives would infiltrate deep into enemy territory, locate the Void Dominion's core, and find a way to neutralize it. The fate of the galaxy would rest on their shoulders. The team assembled was a microcosm of the Alliance itself. Major Alexei Volkov, a grizzled human special forces veteran, would lead the mission. Zach Solcha volunteered his engineering expertise, eager to put his inventions to the ultimate test. Lyra, a young aether capable of manipulating energy in ways that defied conventional physics, joined as their specialist in Void Dominion tech. Elara, the Novali empath, rounded out the team. Her psychic abilities would be crucial in navigating the hive mind's defenses. As the team made their final preparations, Sarah sought out each member individually. She found Alexei in the ship's armory, meticulously checking his gear. "Major," she said, her voice solemn, "I won't insult you by saying I understand the risks you're taking, but I want you to know that whatever happens, the Alliance, all of us, owe you a debt we can never repay." Alexei looked up, his weathered face creasing into a wry smile. "With all due respect, Ambassador, save the speeches for the politicians. We've got a job to do, and we're damn well going to see it through." Sarah nodded, recognizing the soldier's need for focus. As she turned to leave, Alexei called out, "But thank you for giving us a chance to end this war." The Shadowfall team departed under the cover of a diversionary attack, slipping away in a specially modified stealth ship. Their journey took them through the heart of Void Dominion space, navigating treacherous nebula and skirting black holes that defied the laws of physics. Zaxelch's innovations were put to the test time and time again. His adaptive camouflage system allowed them to mimic Void Dominion energy signatures, slipping past patrols undetected. Lyra's manipulation of Void tech proved invaluable, allowing them to interface with enemy systems without triggering alarms. But it was Elara who faced the greatest challenge, as they delved deeper into Void Dominion territory. The psychic pressure of the hive mind became overwhelming. She struggled to maintain her sense of self against the alien consciousness that pressed in from all sides. It's too much," she gasped during one particularly harrowing moment. "I can feel them, billions of minds all crying out in unison. It's beautiful and terrible, and I can't." Alexei gripped her shoulder firmly. "Focus on us, Elara. On your team. We're here. We're real. Don't let them drown you out." Slowly, painfully, Elara regained her composure. And as she did, she made a startling discovery. "I can sense it," she whispered. "The core. It's calling to me." Following Elara's psychic guidance, the team penetrated deeper into Void Dominion space than any Alliance force had ever gone. They found themselves in a vast nebula of swirling dark energy, at the heart of which pulsed a massive structure unlike anything they had ever seen. By the cosmic harmony, Zaxelcha chittered in awe. "It's not a ship or a station. It's alive." The core of the Void Dominion was a colossal organic synthetic hybrid, a brain the size of a small moon. It pulsed with eldritch energies, tendrils of dark matter spreading out to connect with every drone in the hive mind. As the team observed from their hiding place, they realized the true horror of their enemy. The Void Dominion wasn't just a conquering force. It was a single entity that saw all other life as nothing more than resources to be consumed and assimilated. "How do we stop something like this?" Lyra asked, her energy form flickering with distress. Alexei's face was grim as he studied the monstrosity before them. "We've come too far to turn back now. We find a way, or we die trying." But even as the team began formulating a plan, disaster struck. A stray energy pulse from Lyra, a momentary lapse in control brought on by the oppressive psychic atmosphere, alerted the core to their presence. Alarms blared across the entire structure. Swarms of drone ships began to converge on their position. The team found themselves in a desperate fight for survival, vastly outnumbered and trapped in the heart of enemy territory. As Void Dominion forces closed in from all sides, the Shadowfall team faced a terrible choice. They had found the enemy's weakness, but at what appeared to be the cost of their own lives. Their only hope now was to find a way to transmit their discovery back to the Alliance before it was too late. The fate of the galaxy hung in the balance, with 4 brave souls standing as the last line of defense against the all-consuming darkness of the Void Dominion. The final confrontation. As alarms blared and Void Dominion forces closed in, The Shadowfall team found themselves in a desperate struggle for survival. Alexei barked orders, his military training kicking into high gear. Zaxelcha, find us a way out. Lyra, defensive perimeter. Elara, we need intel on their movements. The team worked in perfect synchronization, their diverse abilities complementing each other in ways that would have been unimaginable at the start of the war. Zaxelcha's fingers flew over his portable console, hacking into the organic-synthetic hybrid systems. Lyra's form pulsed with energy as she erected barriers against the incoming fire. Elara's eyes were closed in concentration, her mind reaching out to track the enemy's movements. But the odds were overwhelming. For every drone they destroyed, 10 more took its place. It was becoming clear that they couldn't fight their way out. Major, Zaxelcha chittered urgently, I found a transmission node. We can send a message to the Alliance, but the power required will overload our stealth systems. We'll be completely exposed. Alexei nodded grimly. Do it. Getting this intel back is all that matters now. As Zaxelcha prepared the transmission, Elara suddenly gasped, her eyes flying open. Wait. I think I can do more than just send a message. I can show them. The Novali empath's plan was audacious and incredibly risky. She proposed using the Void Dominion's own psychic network against it, piggybacking on its vast reach to broadcast a direct mental image of the core to every Alliance telepath. The strain could kill you, Alexei warned, concern evident in his gruff voice. Elara's expression was one of serene determination. Some risks are worth taking, Major. As the team provided cover, Elara reached out with her mind, pushing through the oppressive weight of the Void Dominion's consciousness. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, across Alliance space, thousands of Novali empaths suddenly cry out in unison as Elara's vision flooded their minds. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The Alliance now had the location of the Void Dominion's core and a clear understanding of its nature. But more than that, they had irrefutable proof that victory was possible. Back in the heart of enemy territory, the Shadowfall team's situation had become dire. Elara collapsed from the strain of her psychic broadcast. Zaxelcha's makeshift defenses were failing. Lyra's energy form was flickering dangerously as she strained to maintain their protective barrier. Just as all seemed lost, a familiar voice crackled over their comm system. Shadowfall team, this is the UES Intrepid. Hold on, we're coming in hot. Captain Maya Rodriguez and a strike force of Alliance ships had launched a desperate rescue mission the moment they received Elara's broadcast. They tore through the Void Dominion's defenses, catching the enemy off guard with their sudden appearance. The rescue was chaotic and costly. Several Alliance ships fell to enemy fire, but they succeeded in extracting the Shadowfall team. As they retreated from the nebula, Alexei watched the pulsing core of the Void Dominion fade into the distance. They had accomplished their mission, but the real battle was yet to come. Back in Alliance space, preparations for a final, all-out assault were already underway. The combined intellects of every species worked tirelessly to devise a strategy that could neutralize the Void Dominion's core. Sarah Chen found herself at the center of a whirlwind of activity, coordinating between military leaders, scientists, and diplomats. The plan that emerged was complex and multi-layered, relying on the unique strengths of each Alliance member. The Quarin had developed a device that could disrupt the core's psychic signals, but it needed to be delivered and activated at point-blank range. The Etheri proposed using their energy manipulation abilities to create a momentary rift in the core's defenses. Human tacticians devised a battle plan that would draw away the bulk of the Void Dominion's forces, leaving the core vulnerable. As the day of the assault approached, Sarah addressed the combined Alliance fleet. Her words were broadcast to every ship, every world, every being who stood against the darkness. Today, we face our greatest challenge. The Void Dominion sought to divide us, to conquer us through fear. But they underestimated the strength that comes from true unity. Every species, every individual in this alliance brings something unique and valuable to our cause. Together, we are more than the sum of our parts. We are the light that pushes back the darkness. No matter what happens next, remember this: we have already won. We have proven that differences can be bridges, not barriers. That cooperation is stronger than subjugation. Now, let's finish this fight. The battle that followed was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Thousands of ships clashed in the swirling energies of the dark nebula. The space around the Void Dominion's core lit up with weapons fire, energy beams, and exotic particles. At the heart of the maelstrom, a small team led by the survivors of Operation Shadowfall fought their way towards the core. Alexei, Zaxelcha, and Lyra, joined by Maya Rodriguez and a hand-picked group of specialists, pushed through waves of drones. The final moments were a blur of desperation and heroism. Maya's ship, riddled with damage, made a kamikaze run to punch a hole in the last line of defense. Zaxelcha raced against time to activate the disruptor device as the core's psychic assaults threatened to overwhelm their minds. Lyra, pushing her energy manipulation to the limit, held open a gap in the swirling dark matter tendrils. With seconds to spare, the disruptor activated. The effect was cataclysmic. The core's psychic scream echoed across the galaxy as its connection to the hive mind was severed. Void Dominion ships everywhere suddenly fell dormant, their controlling intelligence gone in an instant. As the Alliance fleet mopped up the remaining resistance, the full impact of their victory began to sink in. The war that had threatened to consume the galaxy was over. The Void Dominion, the unstoppable force that had nearly shattered the Alliance, was no more. In the days and weeks that followed, the Alliance worlds celebrated their hard-won peace, but amid the joy, there were also difficult questions to be addressed. How would they handle the millions of now dormant Void Dominion drones? What would become of the world scared by the conflict? And perhaps most importantly, how had this experience changed them? Sarah Chen, standing before the Alliance Council, summed up the feelings of many. We came together to face an existential threat. In doing so, we discovered strengths we never knew we had. The challenge now is to hold onto that spirit of cooperation and mutual respect as we rebuild. The war is over, but our true task, building a lasting peace, is just beginning. As Sarah looked out at the assembled representatives, she saw not just allies, but friends. Humanity had proven its worth to the galactic community, not through dominance, but through leadership, innovation, and an unwavering commitment to standing up for what was right. The Void Dominion had sought to conquer the galaxy. Instead, they had unintentionally forged it into something stronger, more unified, and more resilient than ever before. As the first rays of a new dawn spread across the worlds of the Alliance, the future seemed bright with possibility. The galaxy had faced its darkest hour and emerged into the light. Together,